All right, I say hello and welcome everyone to today's webinar. We got a lot of great stuff we're going to be talking about today. And it doesn't matter what level that you are on with your trading currently, whether you are a rookie and this is your first go around with trading, congrats to you. Welcome to the trading world. Or maybe you're the trader that has a few strategies you've been working, but you've never developed the consistency that you need to become a professional trader or make the type of money that you want, and you're ready to take the next step in the evolution of your trading process. Or maybe you're the trader out there that does have some consistency and you are profitable, but you're looking to gain an extra edge. Whatever it is, it makes no difference. We're going to cover topics that can help all three of those groups. So no matter what level you are, it makes no difference. We're going to start working on some things today that I know can help you as early as tomorrow. If nothing else, at least start pointing you into the right direction in being successful as you want to be. Now, before I get started as well, I do want to say I don't know what social media outlet brought you to this webinar, whether it was YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. But whatever it is, make sure that you follow us on those, or all of them if you belong to them. Because on a regular basis, we post educational videos such as whiteboards, we talk about trade setups, and a multitude of other things pertaining to trading on a regular basis. So it's a great way to keep up to date with our educational content. Now, the question I want to answer here for a lot of you is, I know you're meeting me for the first time and you're wondering, who in the hell are you? What gives you the authority, number one, to talk about trading? And number two, teach me to get to another level? Or what makes you the proper mentor for me as a trader? You know, who are you? So I want to start out by saying I'm now going on my second decade as a trader, 15 of which I've been doing this as a profession. But I want to focus in today's webinar about those first 5, because it was those first 5 that were not professional whatsoever. In fact, it was quite a disaster. And during that time, there was so much different than the way it is now. There wasn't the web presence or the social media presence when it comes to stock trading. There certainly was a lack of mentors, which I did not have one, and we sort of all learned on our own back then. And I did so much psychological damage back in those early years that once I really started to learn trading, I had a hard time struggling with myself on executing my strategies and performing up to my ability. And I know a lot of you have been there. It's kind of the way you feel after maybe a big loss or going through a cold period or struggling with your trading. So I really want to focus on those today, because I think what was developed back then has made me what I am today. So to give you a brief rundown about that, I started in 1999, and this was, to me, the surge of online trading. Now, I know it's going to be hard to believe for the young people, and maybe for some of us older people, but before that, like before the year of 2000 pretty much, most people did not have a personal computer. I know they started coming around in the early to mid 90s, but most people didn't have that, and they didn't have access to internet. There was still a lot of dial-up being used. But right around 99, 2000, PCs became affordable to most people, and internet became more dependable. And then, of course, you had online brokers offering, online services and online trading. And that was really when this surge came, where just about anybody, regardless of what their background, educational level, or what they did in the past, was just all of a sudden had access to the market like they never had before. And like I just mentioned, for most of us, we were just learning this for the first time. We didn't have mentors. We didn't have past history to go on. So there was like this instant surge. Now, back at that time, my main goal in life simply was to continue riding my motorcycle professionally. And I did an awful lot of traveling with it. And I could see even back then in 99 and 2000 that the internet was going to be somewhat of a game changer for all of us, because I could say, look, I was doing a lot of traveling with my racing, and I said, you know what, if I could be good at this trading thing, I can make money while I'm traveling, as long as I can get an internet connection, I can take a laptop with me or something like that, and I can continue to go to races all around the country and take an income with me. So I could see that was going to be a possibility. However, it never worked out that way. So it was definitely something I wanted to do. But when I got started, I will say that the very beginning of my career was pretty good. Because back then, you were really going through one of the most bullish times in history. If you think 2016 and 2017 in the markets were bullish, you have no idea what like 98, 99, and 2000 were like. I mean, really, you were just buying anything.com at that time, and they were just exploding. Stocks were going up $15, $20 a day. I mean, just these absurd amounts of gains on these stocks. So at the beginning, things were looking real good. Now, again, you got to understand, for most of this is how we just naturally thought the market was always going to be. Like, this is it. This is awesome. I should have got involved in stocks in the 80s or something like that. Of course, during this time, while it was all going on, you had the old timers, for lack of a better word, I should say, the more experienced veterans and other outlets were saying, look, much of these valuations in these companies are not real. There's no way they can sustain this. The market's never had upward momentum like this. What we're seeing now is a once-in-a-generation event. You know, they're not going to be able to sustain this. And you kind of heard that, but you really didn't hear that. So you ever been in that situation where you kind of, you know, put the muffs over your ears because you just didn't want to hear the negativity, because the going was so good for us that you just didn't want to hear it. I mean, like, again, you heard it, but it was just like right back out the other ear. You really didn't want to hear it. So I never prepared during this time, or never really thought about during this time, what's going to happen if they're right? Or what's going to happen if this market corrects? Or what's going to happen if the market just changes? Am I going to be able to change with it? Now, of course, most of you already know the answer to that. What ultimately happened is around March of 2001, the market starts correcting, and it starts correcting pretty hard. More and more stories come out of these companies not being able, you know, going out of business, not being able to fulfill the obligations, and so on. And it just continues to progressively get worse and progressively get worse. Now, by the time the summer rolls around, my account is probably down about 50%, maybe even more. And again, because I'm new to this whole thing, and I'm not very experienced, I have absolutely no idea what I'm witnessing, nor do I understand what's my best plan of action. Do I take the losses here? What do I do? So I turned to the same outlets that I had been following the whole time, CNBC and other people on television, Money Magazine, Wall Street journals. And the consensus back then was just a healthy pullback. Yeah, healthy. It was just a healthy pullback. Things were going to be okay. And the best thing to do, what all the professionals do, and what all the professionals recommend, is you add to those losing positions, because that's what everybody does, right? And that's exactly what I did. Well, again, worse comes to worse. Things continue to get worse. And then when 9/11 comes by, the market really gets hammered. And by October, I'm completely out of the market, destitute. My account is gone, and I'm done. At this point, I don't give a damn about trading. Like, I really don't care. Doesn't matter to me whatever happens to the market, because in my mind at that time, I am done. I failed at this, and I'm moving on with my life to do other things. Well, of course, the other things that I did during the next year or so really weren't that exciting, and my life wasn't moving in the right direction anyway. But as some of the pain wore off over the following year about losing money, you know, once you get over that initial trauma of losing money and going through that, I started to think, you know what? I did do some good stuff. You know, I did have some success, and I made a lot of money at one point. And maybe if I was more prepared for a correction, or I understood more things about stuff like short selling, that I could be successful. I could do this. So I decided from that point, I took out a loan. I went into trading again. I promised myself I would forget about everything that I ever did in the past, and I would start from scratch like I was a brand new trader, and I would retrain every emotional and behavioral habit I had and start all over again and see if I give myself an honest to goodness 100% fair shot and see if I could do this. Now, for the sake of time, I'm going to say that when I came back, it wasn't just like overnight. You know, I just went from loser, cleaned it all out of my mind, came back to the market, and everything was fine. No, it was not. But the point for all of this at the very beginning of this webinar is to tell everyone, so many people ask me, during this time, going from losing all of your money, being devastated over a 5-year period of time, then flipping it around and then becoming extremely successful and sustaining a 15-year-long trading career, was there an aha moment? Was there a light bulb that goes off in your head? What was this defining moment that came down to say, oh, this is the turning point, and you knew it? Truth be told, guys, there's no such thing. It never happened like that. This is what I'm going to cover today. I'm going to talk about a couple of things that happened, because there wasn't just one thing that I did back then that changed everything. It was a multitude of small things, which I've narrowed down to just a few small changes that had enormous, I mean an enormous impact on my results. And that's the basis of this webinar, because I want you to know no matter where you guys are right now with your trading, I was there. I was there, no matter how terrible you think you may be. And one thing I did notice, one thing I do want to say really before I get into the slides and stuff, is that the difference between a professional and an amateur, the difference between me being broke and not doing a damn thing for 5 years to being 15 years successful is razor thin. It's like that. It's just 1 to 2, maybe 3 small things, again, that have this enormous impact on your trading. So we're going to talk about those right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch from this full view. You've had enough of me talking already. I'm going to switch from this full view and we're going to go into some slides real quick, okay? And the webcam, I think the webcam's on. Is it on? Oh, it is. Am I even? Okay. Can everybody hear me? We're good? We're good? Okay, we're good. All right, let's get to it. So, here's what I want to do. Here's what I want to do. I want to start this out by asking you guys some questions. And they all start out with, do you feel like? Do you feel like? Or has this ever happened to you? Do you feel like you have one bad trade, you make one bad trade, and it destroys this whole entire body of work, this long streak, this momentum you have? Maybe it takes out days, months, weeks. For some of you, hell, it might even be a whole year. But you make one mistake and it does such huge damage. You ever feel like that? Or does that ever happen? You're always late to the party. You're never positioned for a big move. So you never bought Bitcoin at 100 and sold it at 20,000. You watched it go up to 19, then you bought it and you're still holding it at 5. Or you sold all your assets in the dot-com bubble or the credit crisis, and then the market hits all-time highs and you don't have them. You just never seem to be positioned for a big move. You never have really big wins. Do you feel like you finally have enough of a trade? Like you've reached this emotional and financial capitulation point with a trade and you're like, that's it. I am out of this trade. I'm done with it. You're done. And then it's like almost as soon as you get rid of it, the thing starts working out just like you thought it was going to work out. But now you don't even have a position. You ever done that? Has your trading ever been so bad that you thought the best course of action was to, have your spouse or a best friend open up another account and then trade against you? Do the exact opposite. That way at least somebody's making some money, or you could split the profits. This has been that bad. Or you feel like there has to be a celestial force that's working against you, because there's no possible way it could be this bad. You've been like that? Like you're looking at something and it's just sucking you in. It's just drawing you in, and you're like, I'm not going to buy. I'm not going to buy. And then finally you hit the button and stock dives. Seems like it does that every time. You feel like that? Or you just feel like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Absolutely no idea. None. Now, I do want you to know, I'm sure it's worth a giggle, but look, we've all been through this. If you are feeling this or you have felt this way, it's not something that's the first time someone's ever felt it, or it's not the first time that something like this has happened. I mean, I went through these same very things, and it's important to understand that they are correctable. Now, when you ask yourself, well, how do you correct it? Or why is it like this? What causes this to continually happen over and over again to me? Why do most traders seem to be going through this? And it all starts with one thing, just one thing. And that's the education, okay? And that education also includes the entry that someone has into trading. So I want you to think about this for just a second. How hard is it to become a trader? Not a professional trader, not a winning trader, but just a trader. It's a piece of cake, right? All you need is a few bucks. You can go online and open up an account with E-Trade, Ameritrade, Interactive Brokers, and in 2 days you'll have an account, and there you are, trader, right? And this is how most people enter the business. They'll read a couple of books, They'll scrap together some ideas. They throw some money in an account. It's like, I just want to own something. And they just buy it and here I am, right? Now think about what you're doing. You are taking your hard-earned money and you are going in, just being fed to the wolves. You're going up against some of the most brilliant minds in the world. Long-term traders like me for 20 years, the most people that graduated from Yale, Harvard, Cornell, some of the most competitive people, institutions with algorithms. You are not prepared for this. And this is what ultimately costs people money. So kind of think of it this way. Let's say one day you wake up and you're like, I want to be an architect. I want to get my architect on. So you go down to a local architect shop. Do they have a? And you knock on the door and you're like, hey, I want to be an architect. They're like, great. Did you go to school? Nope. Yeah. I have some rulers, some tape, a pen. Is that good? No. It's like, you don't know anything about it. They're not going to hire you. You can't go to any business and start out at the top and then just work your way down. It doesn't work like that. You have to have the right type of education. And that education doesn't necessarily come in the form of reading a book, watching a financial television show, or stuff like that, or DVD. While all that can be good and provide you with a foundation, it pales in comparison to what real world trading is like in a real world environment. And that's the type of education that you need. Now, without the education, the problem arises and the things happen on that list because you have no process or lack thereof of a process. So for some of you, you say, well, what is the process? What is that? That's your strategy. So every trader has something that they rely on. There's just too much going on in the market. You can't be the best options trader and Forex trader and futures trader and stock trader. You have to pick one because there's too much going on and you need to focus your energy and all of your efforts into just a few things. Otherwise, you will be confused. And those things will happen because you won't understand what it is that you're doing. The process also gives us the belief to push us through. It's sort of like trader faith is our process. It's our trader faith. Because, you know, I'll admit, I go through some rough times too. I'll have a couple of bad days here and there. I'll make some bad trades. But I know, and I believe in my process enough, that I know if I stick with it over 20, 30 trades, or just continue to just do the same thing every day, in the end, I will be just fine. I'll go through ups, I'll go through downs, but in the end, I will profit because I stay with my process. Now, some of you might have that, and you might have too many of them. Maybe some of those things happen because you have what I call is the trading junk drawer. What is this? It's like that junk drawer in your house. You know, the one that you don't, it's just a miscellaneous, you don't know where it goes. There's just a drawer. You just don't want stuff sitting on the counter, so you just throw, you know, they got plates in one drawer, you've got knives in the other, and there's this drawer that's just like, well, when in doubt, put it there. You just don't want it on the counter, cluttering up space. Like mine has safety pins, razor blades, deck of cards, a stopwatch, you know, maybe an old bag of coffee or glue, whatever. You know what I'm saying. So maybe some of you bought a bunch of these DVDs and books, and you've studied options. You thought, well, maybe I'm good at Forex. You studied Forex. Maybe I should try my hand at futures. And you just bounce around and you've got all of this knowledge. You've got all of this information and all of these books. But you ain't got no money. It's done absolutely nothing. You still don't have anything that's concrete that you can rely on. You don't have that. And what this all leads to is the biggest in this, is proper mindset. The ability to execute. Okay? If you do not have the mindset, it does not matter what the strategy is. It will not work because if you're not strong enough here, you just won't execute it. I can tell you the greatest idea. I can say, you know what, this stock is going to double tomorrow. And you'll think about it. Right? Because if you don't understand it, then you're not going to want to execute it. So it's very important. So here's what I want to talk to everyone now. We've done enough of this. You've heard my song and dance and all that good stuff. So you say, what's so special about you, Mr. Douglas? What makes you different than the thousands of other people I've seen amongst the internet, pitching the latest hot program or the best stock trading system or whatever it may be? Well, I'll tell you, there is a difference. because there's something that we do different that helps people break the core habits that causes people to fail at trading. Because you have to understand our sheer DNA, the way our chemical makeup is as human beings, is naturally counterintuitive to being a successful trader. And there are demons that you will have to dig down in there and pull them out. You're going to have to do that if you want to be able to do this job. So we do it like this way. There's 3. I know the guys have been in the room here before. You know what I'm going to go with this? There are 3 simple steps to trading. I've narrowed it down over 20 years to these 3 things. And when I say it's not the only 3 things in trading, but what I'm saying is, if you have a problem with your trading, you can identify what the problem is from these 3 steps. If you did a successful trade, you can identify it from these 3 steps. Now you ask, what are those 3 steps? And they are idea, execution, and management. Your idea is anything that creates your idea for this trade. It's your strategy. It's your process. Whether you flipped a coin, you got this tip off of television, you read it in a newspaper, you trusted a friend, a guru gave it to you, your dog put their paw on a ticker symbol on a newspaper. It's your idea. You came up with an idea and said, I want to do this. The next part of that idea becomes the execution. So, let's say I love Starbucks coffee. I want to buy some Starbucks. So when do I buy Starbucks? Now or later? Is it a good time? I don't know. You have to be able to enter this. You have to be able to execute once you come up with the idea. And the last, which is probably the largest part of this equation, is the management. Like, you're going to have to exit. So that's all there is to a trade. You come up with an idea, you enter the idea, and then you exit the idea. What happens in between that is what determines whether or not you'll be a successful trader. So think of it this way. It's very easy for all of us to say, look, you lose a trade, you say, what's the first thing you say? That was dumb. That was a bad idea. And maybe it was, but maybe it wasn't. I mean, it's easy to say it. We always we don't want to lose money, right? Every time it sucks losing money. But maybe it was a good idea. But maybe the idea didn't work because you didn't execute it right. But maybe you did execute it. But maybe your management was poor, and that's what led to it. So let's give you an example. Let's say you've looked at this stock hypothetically, and you say, if that stock hits 50 bucks, I'm buying it. I am going to buy that stock. And then it hits 50, and you just stare at it. You don't do anything. Then it goes to 51. You're still looking at it. 52. You're still looking at it. 53. You're like, geez. And then finally you're like, I don't want to miss it. I should have bought it. And then you just can't stand it no more. And you hit the button. And you buy it at 54. And the next thing you know, poof, there it goes. It dumps all the way back down to 50. And you're like, that was dumb. Right? Now you might say that was a bad idea. Well, it was a bad idea to chase. But the idea was good because you said it would go up at 50. The problem was you didn't execute it. And then the next thing, it was management. Once you got into it, you realized this was a really bad thing to do. I should get out of this, okay? So understand, sometimes we can have a really great idea, but sabotage ourselves through poor execution and poor management. Sometimes we can have a terrible idea and then still be okay because our execution and management was okay. So what we look at a trader and we say, this is what you're going to need. When it comes to your idea, you're going to have to identify the very best stocks that there are to trade. Not every stock is the right type of stock to trade every day. Ah! Let me turn my light back on. There we go. All right. I probably look better in the dark. So, where were we? That's right. Opportunity. Yes, trading the right kind of opportunities. Okay, I can't remember exactly where I left off, but I will say that there's a money cycle that's out there. Sometimes the money will be flowing from institutions and funds into banks stocks or tech stocks, and it'll move from tech stocks to retail stocks. You need to find the right stocks to trade because not every stock is the right stock to trade every single day of the week. We also want our traders to be able to identify the best risk to reward trading opportunities. Now, if you can do these 2 things, you have all you need when it comes to ideas. If you can identify where the money cycle is, the best stocks to trade and manage your risk to reward, you've got the right type of ideas. Now, when it comes to executing that, you have to ask some questions here. When should you enter the trade? So once you've come up with this idea, what is the ideal entry? Do you just say, I'm going to buy it now wherever it is? Or can you get a better price? What is the best possible entry? Now, you will never be perfect, but what is that best entry? Also, do any of you know that it makes a difference as to what time of the day that you make a trade? There's certain periods of time where the chances of you succeeding with the trade are higher than others. Maybe some of you don't know that, but that's important, and we like to teach that to people so they understand there's also not just the right entry point, there's also the right time of day to trade, and there's other times that you probably shouldn't be trading. And then, of course, how much risk should you put on every trade that you take? I mean, should you put the same amount of risk? No, you shouldn't. You should also be able to identify the level and the quality of that opportunity that's in front of you. So, for example, you might see something and say, look, every time I see this certain pattern, or every time I see this situation, I have a 70 to a 90% or whatever extremely high win rate. This is a high probability trade. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to work, but it's a high probability trade. So knowing that information, you can trade heavier. It would make sense to put more risk on that. Now, you might find yourself in a situation where you're like, I don't know, man. I don't know if it's going to go up or down, but I want to trade it because I'm a trader and I got to trade. Then use a smaller position size, right? So not only are we identifying these right opportunities, we need to assess the level of these opportunities through our execution at the right time of day with the max size on the best possible opportunity. And then, of course, when it comes to management, once you're in that trade, you need to know when to exit. It's amazing that so many people figure out when to enter a trade, but they just don't know when they're going to get out. They don't want to get out with profit. They want to get out with loss. So we want to teach people, look, what is the exit? What is your achievement area that you think this trade is going to? Because that's where you're going to want to pay yourself. You have to have an exit strategy. We also want to focus while we teach these steps. Where do you figure out you're wrong? Okay, one of the big differences between when I was an amateur to where I'm at now, and when I see amateur traders, is the acceptance of being wrong. So the faster that you can figure out when you shouldn't be in this trade, the better off you are. Now, to go into that just a little bit deeper, I've done a whiteboard about this before, and there were some stats that I did on myself, and my average trade my day trades last about 15 to 20 minutes. That's my average win, lasts about 10 to 15, 20 minutes, excuse me. So that means that when I do my analysis right, my process is right, I'm doing the things right, that I should have the result within 15 to 20 minutes. Bottom line. So if I'm still in the trade at 2 hours later, then something went wrong. Whether I'm up on that trade or I'm down on that trade, something has gone wrong, is it not? Because this is out of the statistical boundary, and usually when it goes that long, my chances of winning on that trade are less. So once it goes past that, I know just by a statistical standpoint, get out. You know, I don't need to wait. Maybe some will go higher, but I'm avoiding disaster, and that's what I need to do. Also, we want to teach people, how do you stop fixating on this crap? How do you stop looking at your P&L every 30 seconds and just, micromanaging this trade, saying, is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? Is it going to go down? What do you think? And you start asking people on social media, do you think it's going to go up? Do you think it's going to go? You call your parents, do you think it's going to go up? You just can't stop fixating on it. The reason that's bad is because fixating is going to lead you to change your mind. We always encourage traders not to look at P&L. Because if you look at your profit or your loss, then at some point, you will allow the money that you're seeing, which is most likely going to be red, you're going to allow that negative to skew you away from your original trade idea. And then, of course, should you guys be using partials? Do you know what partials are? Should you hold money out for the big move? So when you're asking yourself all those beginning questions, which ones did you fit into? Which ones have happened to you? The answers for that are right here. Idea, execution, and management. The lack of the process. Something in that cycle has gone horribly wrong. And if you ask me, the biggest piece of that equation is by far, hands down, is the management part. And if I draw a pie chart, which I have for you guys, lucky you, this is how I would think it would lay out in my mind. That management makes that much of a difference when it comes to your trade. So what is this telling you? This is telling you that the most important part is your psychological being. Because I'm so confident in what it is that I do, and the 20 years that I've put into trading, that you can just pick a stock. I should do this on film one time to prove my point. You could pick a stock. Tell me what to do, buy or short it, and I guarantee I can get out of that stock with minimal to no damage. I'll know if it was a good idea or not, or if it was something that was going to work or not within a very short period of time, because my management skills have developed over 2 decades. That's all it is, just with the screen time. So where we are with this, that's very important, which you know I'm stressing here right now, because you've got all of these people out there that are selling you systems, right? They're selling you this stuff like, you're going to do my strategy. No, you are not going to follow their strategy because you don't know it. You haven't studied it long enough. And you don't know what they're doing probably anyway. And if they do, you haven't had enough real-time environment with it. A lot of studies came out from the Wall Street Journal and a bunch of other trading psychologists. And it's gone around for a while that 80% of trading is mental. The 20% mechanics. And this is what I've been asking you since the very beginning of this. If 80% of all of your results come from your mental standpoint and your psychological being, and only 20% comes from drawing lines on charts, why on earth are you wasting so much time chasing holy grails and strategies? Why are you buying into that rather than, maybe I should work on myself? Maybe I should build the right kind of mental foundation so I can execute. So think of it this way. It's just, a strategy is a tool, but it's a worthless tool in the hands of a fool, right? So let's say like your vehicle. You, the human species, knows how to use a vehicle. We've proven that. Now you might think some people can't drive, and you're right, but for the most part, pretty good at it. Most of us can get around. But it's a great tool because it gets us to the store to buy food. It gets us to our job so we can go to work and make money. It lets us visit our friends and we can have camaraderie and all that good stuff. It's a great thing. It makes the world smaller. It is an awesome invention that has changed the landscape of the world. Now to a monkey, it's worthless. It's just a piece of metal. It's like a rock. You can't do anything with it because the monkey doesn't know how to drive. Doesn't even know how to start it. So what's valuable to you? What is golden to you? What changes your life and puts you in this whole different element in the world? Nothing to a monkey, because a monkey cannot drive. Just the ones they train, but you follow what I'm saying. It's different. So if you're a monkey kind of trader, you're not going to be able to do the strategy. All right? So just think about it. Okay, let's move on. Now, I've got a drill for everyone. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you, I'm going to play back a real trade that we did. Now, while this is playing back, I'm not going to say anything. I just want you to look at this trade and I want you to ask yourself while it's playing, what would you do in this situation if it was you? How would you handle yourself differently than me? And do you see what it is that I see when something like this happens? Also pay attention that down in the lower left corner is the P&L for this trade. So I'm going to play this thing through. Think of those things that I talked to you about. And then we'll discuss this trade and what I was seeing with this trade as soon as it's done playing, okay? So here we go. All right, now let's talk about that trade, okay? Because it goes far beyond the gain and what everyone saw, because it's not a very long trade. Like I said, long in terms of time. That's normally how long my trades last. But I want to ask you, how many people do you think panic? Or how easy would it be to panic in that situation? I mean, you see that thing just dumping, right? All that dumping is just people selling now, asking questions later. They cannot deal with the emotional stress. They don't have the time to look it up. They're just so freaked out. They don't even think. They don't look around their surroundings. They just act. And usually when you act out of emotion, you are acting wrong. There's a ton of emotion in that chart. How easy would it have been for me to panic? You saw when I first took the trade, right? I was upside down $600-700. I could have easily said, oh, I made a mistake. But I was able to hold. Not because I was lucky, but because I have done this. And the end result was a win. And it was only a win because I trust the process of what I do. I've done thousands upon thousands of these same very types of trades. I know that this is how many are going to work over a certain span of time, and I'm confident in that, and I trust my process. My mindset has been conditioned not to look at being down $700, but to focus on the opportunity that is in front of me. So I'm conditioned to handle that. And then I had the right share size to start out with. I had room to add to that position if necessary. I didn't even have to. So when you go through it, you say, was the idea? Yes, it was a great idea. Was my execution good? It was perfect. Was the management on point? Hell yes, it was. It was a great management. Idea, execution, management, all three check. What does that equal? Wins. It equals winners. And that's what's important, guys. Idea, execution, management. You do those three things right, you will be extremely, extremely successful as a trader. So now I ask you, what are you going to do about this? Because everything that you're doing right now in your life, whatever you did today, let's say, whatever you did today, it's either building your future or it's destroying your future. Now think about that. What did you do today? Are you doing something today? Did you do something today that puts you in a step to get you where you want to be in your future? Or did you do nothing at all? Or have you done nothing at all? So if you're somebody that's struggling with your trading, or you're trying to, maybe you're somebody who's struggling with trading, maybe somebody's trying to enter trading, it makes no difference. If you're the struggling trader out there, you've been bounced around from system to system and promise to promise, but you've never buckled down to one solid thing, committed everything you had to that process, and done what it was necessary to take the step in the right direction. I'm not calling people out. I've been there. That's why I was not succeeding several years ago. And if you don't do something about it, in essence, what you are doing is you're destroying your future because you're robbing yourself of that opportunity. If you're the newer trader out there and you're saying that to yourself, like, I think I want to trade, I don't know if I'm smart enough, I don't know if I'm good enough, you don't know the answer to that question until you try it. You have to try it. You have to take the steps necessary in that direction to do it. Otherwise, you're destroying your future because maybe somebody in here is the next great trader. Maybe you are the next great trader, but nobody knows. Maybe nobody ever will know because you'll never try it. So remember, and that goes beyond what I'm talking about here today with trading. Take that with you for the rest of your life, wherever you go. That everything that you're doing today is either building or tearing down that future, simply put. So you're either working towards your goals and working to where you want to be, or you're going backwards. Which is it, okay? All right, so here it is. Here it is, guys. This is what I want to talk about right now. I want to talk about our upcoming mini camp course that we're going to be doing here in the next couple of weeks. And I want to share with you why I think it's something that's important for you and something that I know can help you build the right kind of trading foundation to get you to that level that you want to be as a trader. Again, it doesn't matter whether you're somebody who just wants to trade your own money, like your own 401ks. You just want to fire your money managers or stop putting your money in annuities or CDs or something like that, and you really want to take advantage of all that the market has to offer and help your accounts grow. Or you're that trader out there that wants to go to the next level and you don't want to work a job. You want to be a trader. This is exactly what you want to do for a living, and you want to take that next step, and you want to feel confident, and you want to be consistent. So I'm going to spend a minute just here telling you what Minicamp has to offer, and then you can judge as to whether or not you think this is something that's important to you, or whether or not this is something that you feel is different from whatever else might be out there. So the first thing that we talk about here in Minicamp, or what it actually entails, it is 6 live classes that include over 10 hours of live trading. Now, you remember at the beginning, I mentioned that the best way, really to me, the only way to learn is in a real-time environment. It's a whole, I know DVDs and books are good. I have DVDs and books. They provide a great amount of information and knowledge, and they are better than nothing at all. But if you really want to be serious about being a trader, you have to take this job seriously. And the only way that happens, in my opinion, is you got to see this live. And during that live training, what we cover is 4 of the main strategies that we use every day. 4 of them. Now, that doesn't matter what the market does. We can be going through a bearish cycle for the next decade. Like, we're in a bearish time right now. Do most of you know how to trade through something like this? Because it could be one of the best opportunities that you'll ever have to make money. How do you trade during bullish cycles? These strategies will work in whatever market. It makes no difference about the market. It's all based on stock. It's all based on chart setup. And of course, if you're trading options, you can use it with that or something else. But we cover those 4 main strategies in those 6 classes that cover well over 10 hours worth of material. Now, just by enrolling into this course, what I do offer for free is my Trading as an Art DVD that's on the website. Again, I told you I had DVDs. It also talks about these 4 main strategies and how they work in real-time environments. Again, it's just a DVD. It retails for $100, but I think it helps everyone that prior to this course that you watch this DVD. That way you get a little bit deeper understanding about me as a trader, because it goes into much more depth about that topic. But it takes these strategies and it dissects them in a way that you understand why something like this would be working in the first place. See, a lot of traders don't understand that. They see something, or they're told a certain pattern, or they're told that a moving average does something, or relative strength does something, but maybe you really don't know exactly why it does something. Why does it mean? Is it because other traders are trading it? Is it because the price action is important? Is it because price level is important? I mean, why does something like this work? Because when it comes down to it, you're going to have that confidence in the system or the process or strategy that you're using to know that, hey, this thing will work regardless of what other signals I might be getting. So I do throw that in there, and it's a great thing to watch. Helps shorten your learning curve just a little bit. More importantly than that, you have free access to our live trading room. From the time you enroll, from the moment you enroll, you get instant access to our live trading room all the way up right now until like the first of the year. Maybe a little bit longer than that. That's at least a $200 to $250 value. I find this to be the most important part of this because, again, you're going to watch the DVD, you're going to take the classes, but the only way that you're going to buy into the system and trust what's happening and take that next step is I want you to see us trade that. So I'm going to show you how this works, and then I'm going to trade it right in front of you so you see how do you do this in a real-time environment. Again, this is why I think where the DVD, the book discrepancy comes from real-world training, is because if you read a book and it says, when this line crosses that line, you buy. But then maybe you never really see that, and then you want to ask yourself, what am I missing? How do I know that it's not happening? Am I doing something wrong? We're there for you. Now let me take a second just to again explain a little bit more about what this room does. We meet every day that the market is open. There's a good group of us, many professional traders in that room. We share our ideas. I share my ideas with you on screen. I tell you about the trades I'm looking at. We do a pre-market warm-up where we're talking about this is going to be the best stocks to possibly trade for this day. These are the ideas that we're looking at. When we see things developing, we're saying ahead of time, if such and such stock reaches this dollar amount or that dollar amount, we're either going to buy it or we're going to short it. Once we get into the trade, we start forecasting things like targets based on what? What would be the targets, right? We talked about that earlier. Most traders traders don't know what targets are. So we're going to cover that, and you're going to see those lessons, and then it's going to translate into a real-time environment. I want you to see it. I also have a part-time trader program as well. You get free access to that. This is something that's more geared towards those with investment accounts or those that can't be tied to a computer, do not want to be a part of day trading. This is something where you do trades overnight, maybe 2 or 3 trades a week, something that's very moderate but still yet very profitable. The current count is up 28% year to date. So, you know, it's a good program. It's $200 value there that you're going to get that. I'll give you access to that one as well. Now, I know some of you might think that maybe you're not going to be able to attend or whatever the reasons are, but all of the sessions that we do for these mini camps are recorded. So every day you will get, every time, once one is recorded, you'll get the recording, and that link never expires to that recording. So you'll be able to watch it as many times as you want, as often as you want. You can watch it all today, tomorrow, next year. It never expires. And one of the most important things that a lot of you guys know who've been trading with me for a long time, one of the things that we do with our Champ Camp course and the rest of our courses is that once you're a mini camper and you're a part of this community, you are a part of this community to us forever. That means as long as I'll do another mini camp maybe after February or March of next year or somewhere down the road. Doesn't matter. You are always welcome to come back and take as many of these courses as you wish, and you don't have to pay for it. You'll never be charged again for it. You don't have to pay any kind of fees. I know some other places charge you. No, you're always welcome. We have students that come back for refresher courses. We have people that come back just want to get reacquainted with some of the basics. So once you do this, you're in for good. You can always come back. And now there is a special section, a private section of the web where all of the past mini camp recordings are archived. That way all of you can turn around and you can watch them. So you can watch season 1, season 2, season 3, or as many as we do. They'll always be logged into a special section. You just log in and you can start watching them right away. So it's a really comprehensive program. It really can help you get to that next level as a trader. And again, it covers the most valuable, important things. We're going to talk about our strategies, the idea, execution, and management. You're going to see this stuff in real-time environment, and you're going to watch real money trade these things. That way you know it's not some BS garbage stuff that just is hypothetical. It's real world, real type trading that works. So, I'm going to be doing this class, like I said, it's December 3rd. Yes, December 3rd it starts. The schedule will be on the website. The website is right down there below. Right now, for those that do enroll, I will give you a 25% discount. Those who showed up. The cost of the program is $300 before the 26th. So any of those who enroll is before the 26th is $300. After that, it's $350. That's it. I mean, it's not a huge savings, but you will save somewhat, $50. You'll save $50 there if you enroll somewhere now between the 26th and November. After November 26th, it'll be $350. So anyway, where I want to leave this off, at this point, it is you either do or you don't, and it's a level of how serious that you want to take your trading. Again, I'll do everything that I can in my power to help you become a trader. We'll give you the techniques. We'll show you the strategies. We'll work with you hand in hand. You'll have access to the live room. You'll get the copy of the DVD. And I'm sure with all of these as it combines, it may not be an overnight transition from, you know, poor trader. Like I said at the beginning, it's not a bunch of things or one huge thing that's going to have an aha moment. It's going to be those little small details, those little small things that you're going to do along the way that's going to make the ultimate difference in whether you are successful at this trading thing. And it's always going to be about that, because from our standpoint and the way that we teach this information to people is we want you to survive. I mean, anybody can have a good month or a good year. I mean, again, remember what I said at the very beginning when I was talking about how it was in the .com. It was great at the beginning, but if you really want, this is where kind of people get off the rails a little bit. If you really want to be successful for long periods of time and you want to make a career out of this, this is going to be your career, and you want to excel at it, you're going to have to make changes. You're going to have to do things that can help you break habits and do what you need to do. So I'm going to move over to, I'm going to turn off this webcam because you've probably seen my face long enough today. And I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to answer your questions. I'll be around here until the last person leaves or until your questions are done. So I'll take those now. For those that are ready, you just go to the website, their link, or there might be a link that's popping up here while I've been talking about just you can enroll right now. You'll get immediate access to the DVD. You'll be able to trade with us tomorrow in our live trade room and start working with us right away. If you don't, I want to thank you for supporting it and coming to this webinar. It's always nice to see it turn out, and I do hope you learned something. And regardless of whether you purchase the program or you become a member of the Lincoln List, none of that matters. If you ever have any trading questions, always feel free to reach out to me, support@thelincolnlist.com. So I'll take this moment right now. I'll shut this thing off. I'll be sitting here. You guys have questions, just send them my way, and I'll answer them until the last person's gone.